When a man wearing a bright red MAGA hat walked into a high-end bank, the manager barely glanced at him before making a snap judgment. Dismissing him as unimportant, the manager coldly refused to provide service, brushing him off without a second thought. But what the manager didn't realize was who this man truly was. When he returned, not as an ordinary customer, but as Elon Musk, the entire bank froze in disbelief. You won't believe what happened next. Stay tuned to see how the tables turned in this jaw-dropping story. The day started as usual at the upscale bank in the heart of Manhattan. Marble floors gleamed under the soft lighting, and the quiet hum of business deals filled the air. The bank was known for catering to high-net-worth individuals, and its staff, dressed impeccably in tailored suits, prided themselves on maintaining a polished, exclusive image. The man in the MAGA hat walked in during a particularly busy afternoon. His casual attire, a simple jacket, jeans and sneakers, instantly made him stand out in the sea of well-dressed professionals. But it wasn't his clothes that drew the most attention. It was the bright red MAGA hat perched on his head. The staff exchanged subtle glances, some rolling their eyes, others whispering to one another as he approached the counter. The bank manager, a man in his late 40s with a sharp suit and an even sharper attitude, noticed the man immediately. Without even attempting to hide his disdain, he motioned to one of the tellers to handle him. "He's not worth my time," the manager muttered under his breath, barely looking up from his computer. The man in the MAGA hat reached the counter and politely asked to speak with someone about opening a private account. The teller, nervous under the manager's watchful gaze, hesitated. "Let me check with my supervisor," she said, glancing over her shoulder at the manager. The manager, overhearing the request, stood up and walked over, his expression cold and dismissive. "I'm the bank manager," he said curtly, crossing his arms. "We have specific requirements for our private accounts. Perhaps you'd be better suited to a regular checking account. Please subscribe and like this video. Let's continue to share story." The man remained calm, his tone polite but firm. "I was hoping to discuss my options in detail. I'm looking for a secure place to manage significant assets." The manager smirked, glancing at the hat before replying, "I don't think we can accommodate your request. Our private services are reserved for a very specific clientele." The man raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. "I see," he said evenly. "Thank you for your time." Without another word, he turned and walked out, leaving the staff and a few nearby customers whispering among themselves. The manager returned to his desk, feeling satisfied with how he had handled the situation. "Not everyone is a fit for this bank," he muttered to a colleague. But what the manager didn't know was that the man in the MAGA hat wasn't just anyone, and he wasn't done with the bank just yet. What happened next would leave the entire staff frozen in shock. The next morning, the bank was bustling as usual. The manager, feeling as self-assured as ever, was busy on his computer reviewing client accounts when a sudden murmur spread through the lobby. Heads turned toward the entrance, and the air in the room shifted. Walking confidently through the doors was the same man from the previous day. But this time, he wasn't wearing a MAGA hat. Instead, he was dressed sharply in a sleek, tailored suit, his presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Whispers erupted among the staff and customers. "Wait, is that?" one teller murmured to another. "That's Elon Musk." The bank manager, oblivious to the commotion at first, glanced up from his desk. His face paled the moment his eyes landed on Elon. For a split second, he froze, trying to process what he was seeing. The same man he had dismissed the day before now stood before him, the world-famous billionaire and CEO, whose face was instantly recognizable to anyone paying the slightest attention to global news. Elon walked toward the counter with the same calm demeanor he had displayed the day before. This time, however, the staff scrambled to greet him, their earlier dismissiveness replaced with a nervous eagerness to please. A young teller rushed over. "Mr. Musk," she stammered, "welcome to our bank. How can we assist you today?" Elon didn't respond right away. His piercing gaze swept across the room, finally landing on the manager, who was still standing frozen behind his desk. Slowly, Elon walked toward him, the sound of his footsteps echoing through the marble-floored lobby. The staff and customers held their breath, unsure of what was about to happen. The manager, snapping out of his daze, quickly stepped forward, plastering a nervous smile on his face. "Mr. Musk, it's an honor to have you here." he said, his voice wavering slightly. If there's anything you need, please let me personally assist you. Elon raised an eyebrow, his calm demeanor never faltering. Funny, he said, his tone measured but firm. Yesterday, I was here to discuss opening an account, and you made it clear I wasn't welcome. The manager's face flushed red, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. I, I didn't realize it was you, he stammered. There must have been some misunderstanding. Elon tilted his head slightly, his expression unreadable. Was it a misunderstanding, he asked, or was it a judgment based on assumptions? The room was silent. The staff and customers, now fully aware of what was happening, watched intently. The manager opened his mouth to respond but couldn't find the words. He shifted uncomfortably under Elon's unwavering gaze. I came here yesterday like any other customer, Elon continued, his voice steady but cutting. I wore a hat, not a name tag, but that shouldn't have mattered. Respect isn't reserved for those you recognize or those who fit your assumptions. It should be given to everyone. The manager looked down, his confidence from the previous day completely shattered. You're absolutely right, he said quietly. I handled the situation poorly, and I deeply apologize. Elon paused for a moment, letting the weight of his words settle. Then in a surprising turn, he smiled faintly. I'm not here to make this personal, he said, but I am here to make a point. Respect and professionalism should be the foundation of any business, especially one that handles people's trust and assets. The staff, who had been silently observing, nodded in agreement. Even the customers, some of whom had overheard the exchange, began murmuring their approval. It was clear that Elon's words carried a message far beyond the walls of the bank. The tension eased slightly as Elon extended a hand toward the manager. Let's move forward, he said simply. But let's do better. The manager, visibly relieved, shook Elon's hand and nodded. Thank you, Mr. Musk. I assure you, this will never happen again. As the moment concluded, the bank erupted into quiet applause. Customers and staff alike couldn't help but feel inspired by the lesson that had unfolded before them. With the tension in the room easing, Elon Musk turned back to the counter, addressing the young teller who had nervously greeted him earlier. Now, he said, his tone lighter but still firm, let's talk about the account I wanted to open yesterday. The teller nodded quickly, her hands trembling slightly as she gathered the necessary paperwork. Of course, Mr. Musk, right this way, she said, leading him to a private meeting area near the back of the bank. As Elon followed her, the rest of the staff exchanged uneasy glances. The message he had delivered moments earlier was still hanging in the air, and the weight of it was felt by everyone present. The manager, still standing at his desk, seemed lost in thought, replaying the previous day's events in his mind. Meanwhile, word of Elon Musk's appearance at the bank spread quickly, thanks to a few customers who had quietly taken photos and posted them online. Within minutes, social media platforms were buzzing with captions like, Elon Musk schools bank manager after being dismissed for wearing a MAGA hat, and respect isn't about appearances. Elon Musk teaches an unforgettable lesson. The post quickly went viral, sparking thousands of comments and shares. Some users applauded Elon for standing up to judgmental behavior, while others debated the deeper implications of the incident. This is why you treat everyone equally, one user wrote. You never know who you're dealing with. Another added, the fact that it took him being Elon Musk for them to realize their mistake is the problem. Inside the bank, Elon sat calmly in the private meeting area as the teller brought out the necessary forms. I'll need a few minutes to process everything, she said nervously. Please let me know if there's anything else you need. Elon nodded and smiled faintly, his demeanor putting her slightly at ease. Take your time, he said. As he waited, a few other staff members discreetly peeked around the corner, clearly curious but trying not to appear unprofessional. Elon's reputation as a tech visionary and billionaire entrepreneur preceded him, and his presence in their otherwise quiet bank was nothing short of surreal. Back in the main lobby, the manager, still visibly shaken, approached his team. Clearing his throat, he addressed them quietly but firmly. Let this be a lesson for all of us, he began, his voice tinged with regret. We don't judge people based on their appearances or assumptions. Every customer deserves respect, no exceptions. The staff nodded in agreement, some looking ashamed as they recalled their reactions the previous day. The manager's tone softened as he added, I've learned my lesson today, and I hope we all have. This isn't just about Mr. Musk. It's about how we represent this bank and ourselves. As Elon finished his paperwork and prepared to leave, the young teller hesitated before speaking. Mr. Musk, she said cautiously, I just wanted to say, thank you for what you said earlier. It was a reminder we all needed. Elon looked up and smiled slightly. Thank you, he replied. Sometimes a small moment can make a big difference. Let's hope this one does. As he walked back through the lobby, customers and staff alike watched him with a mix of awe and admiration. But Elon wasn't looking for applause or recognition. His calm, collected demeanor never wavered as he exited the bank and stepped into the street. Outside, reporters and photographers had already gathered, alerted by the viral posts circulating online. They shouted questions and snapped photos, eager to capture the story of the day. Elon, unbothered by the commotion, simply waved briefly before getting into his car and driving off. By the time Elon returned to his office, the story had become a global talking point. News outlets ran headlines like Elon Musk's lesson in respect goes viral and bank learns the hard way not to judge a book by its cover. The incident sparked debates about professionalism, equality, and the assumptions we make about others. The aftermath of the incident reverberated far beyond the walls of the bank. Social media platforms lit up with discussions, sparking debates on respect, judgment, and the importance of treating everyone equally. The hashtag number #RespectFirst began trending, with users sharing their own stories of how assumptions had led to unfair treatment. Some praised Elon Musk for addressing the situation with calm and grace, while others reflected on the lesson the bank manager had learned in the most public way possible. News outlets amplified the story with headlines like, Elon Musk's quiet act of humility shakes up banking industry, and why judging a man by his hat was a costly mistake. Panel discussions on TV debated how small actions, like the manager's initial dismissal, could reveal larger issues of bias and respect in society. Back at the bank, the incident prompted immediate changes. The manager, determined to learn from his mistake, called an emergency meeting with the staff the following day. Standing at the head of the room, he addressed his team with sincerity. What happened yesterday wasn't just about me, he began. It was a reflection of how we, as a team, approach our work and our customers. I failed to lead by example, and for that, I take full responsibility. The staff listened attentively, many of them nodding in agreement. From now on, the manager continued, we will treat every person who walks through those doors with the respect and dignity they deserve. It doesn't matter who they are or what they look like. Everyone is valuable, and everyone deserves our full attention. To reinforce this commitment, the bank implemented new training programs focused on customer service and bias awareness. Employees were encouraged to share their experiences and reflections, fostering a culture of openness and growth. The manager even took it a step further, personally writing an apology letter to Elon Musk, acknowledging his mistake and thanking him for turning a moment of judgment into a powerful lesson. Elon, true to his nature, didn't respond with fanfare. Instead, he sent a brief but thoughtful reply. It's not about what happened, he wrote. It's about what you do next. I'm glad to see you're taking steps to improve, not just for me, but for everyone. Meanwhile, the public continued to weigh in on the story. Opinion pieces highlighted the broader implications, questioning how often we make snap judgments based on appearances and how we can collectively do better. This isn't just about a MAGA hat or Elon Musk, one columnist wrote. It's about challenging the assumptions we carry with us every day. The bank itself began to see a shift in its reputation. Customers who had initially been critical of the incident were impressed by the steps the staff and management were taking to improve. One regular client even posted on social media, "It's rare to see a business own up to its mistakes so publicly. Kudos to them for turning this around." For Elon, the experience was just another moment in a life filled with opportunities to challenge norms and expectations. When asked about the incident in an interview weeks later, he shrugged and said, "It wasn't about me. It was about a simple truth. Respect shouldn't be conditional. It's something we should all strive to give, no matter the circumstances." The incident became more than just a viral story. It was a wake-up call, a reminder of the importance of treating everyone with dignity, no matter how they appear or what assumptions we may carry. For the bank, it was a chance to rebuild not just their reputation, but their values. And for everyone who heard the story, it was a lesson in humility, respect, and the power of leading by example. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Let's continue to share stories that remind us of the values we should all live by: respect, humility, and kindness. Together, we can inspire change, one story at a time.